present in the two, same as we like. It's like an incomplete sentence. You go. Okay. Who is you? Wewe unaenda.
Wewe.
So the u for you, I think it's plural you. U, agreement, na, present, enda is the part that means like.
Tunapenda kulala.
Tunapenda is what it's like something. Do we like?
Tunapenda kulala.
Lala, an infinitive, to sleep. We like to sleep. You all are doing. It's gonna be unafanya. Unafanya. Nafanya. You all are doing. Okay, something new. Nafanya. You all are doing.
Wanafika.
Wanafika. Was the they agreement marker, now present. Cooking? No, that's speak. Fika. They arrive. We are arriving. So fika is going to be tunafika mama.
Mama.
Unaenda.
Unaenda. You.
Unaenda.
You like. Oh, that's enda is go. You go. No, I'm supposed to write this way. She is running. So it's a zero marker, I think. Or is it ha? Ha-na. Running. Anakimbia. Running. Kimbia. Anakimbia. She is running. Wanafunzi wanaandika. Students. Wanaandika. Wana is they present. Are writing. Andika. Writing.
Tunakimbia.
Nakimbia. We are writing. Kimbia, no, that's run. Kimbia, run. Unafanya. Yeah, a single consonant. Unafanya. You arrive. You make. Do. Okay, fanya. Like factory. Make and do. You do. Ninapenda is ni you like. I like ni I. Okay. Ni. Tunaenda we go. Naandika. Naandika. They are writing. They. You all. You plural. Yeah. That's it. You plural. Na present. What if there's an on something? Andika. You all are doing. It's fine, right? You all. Nafanya. Nafanya.
Unaenda.
Unaenda. You are going. Ninapenda. I like. Present. Welcome back to Language Institute. I'm VerbAlly, starting out here with some Swahili. Okay. Wanafikiri. They. Present. Fikiri. Think. Think. You answer. So una. Answer jibu. Najibu. Najibu. You answer jibu. Ninahitaji kurudi. Looks like infinitive. Hitaji. I need. Yeah. To return. Ninahitaji kurudi. I need a friend. Ninahitaji and a friend starts with an M. Rafiki.
Wanajaribu.
Najaribu. You return. Una. Rudi. Narudi. So there's fewer two-syllable verb stems here than three-syllable ones. Narudi for plural.
Ninajibu.
Najibu. Answer. Najibu. Najibu. To think. Kufiki. Kufikiri. Kufikiri.
Mnajaribu.
Najaribu is you plural answer. Try. You plural try. Najaribu. Ninajaribu, I try. Kufikiri is that infinitive to think. Kujibu, that is to answer. Kurudi was a return. Yeah, to return. Ninahitaji rafiki. I need a friend. Kufikiri. Excited to continue on the newest Germanic language that's been added, which is Yiddish. So XP up in here. Rafiki for friend might be an Arabic one, I think. Ra initial does not look very Swahili to me. Rafiki. From Arabic, Rafiq, companion. Raqafa. Rafaqa, to be friendly. Rafaqa. So I want to hold on to this Arabic word, and the right to left script presents a little bit of a challenge, but I've had luck if I say A or B for Arabic and then a pair of brackets and then just paste this in between. Rafiq, companion. And this has a derivation as an Arabic word from an Arabic verb root. It generates this form with an A-E vowel pattern inserted from a root that consisted of three consonant letters. Companion from befriend. So just read off the consonants in that in the Arabic. Rafaqa, that's your root. It's interesting in that it's discontinuous, the two parts. The stem forming thing is in two places, and the root itself splits up into three segments of the word. Here we are. Siblings topic.
Sprinze is my Schwester.
Sprinze's name. Sprin. Sprin. And then that single letter, kind of shaped like a Y, is a T. Is man Schwester.
Sprinze is my Schwester.
Man Schwester. So I would, yeah, this is also still feminine, but the inflection pattern is different. So I need to get, this is especially challenging, having a German language background, to get the inflection just right. It's different. The words are, the vocabulary is about 90-95% the same, but the inflection patterns are different, as they are really in all the Germanic languages, dialects.
Sprinze is my Schwester.
It's man. Name. X is my sister. Is, and really that, I'm going to do sort of a compromise of the spelling and the sound. A vowel initial word like is needs a glottal stop letter, aleph. Is man. It's written as though it were like this, but the I is long. So maybe a compromise. If I write I, we'll know to level the J. We'll get rid of it. Man. Schwester. Schwester is the spelling. Weak second syllable though. Let's hear it.
Sprinze is my Schwester.
Schwester. Reduced vowel there. Sprinze is mein Schwester.
Sprinze is my Schwester.
So, for me, it's important to note no ending on the adjective. It's my sister. Let me translate it before I say yes. Is mein Bruder, I guess it would be. He's my brother. Ich hab. That's lip. Hab lip. Oz. Okay, what is Oz? Oz is mein Bruder. I love him because he's my brother. That he is. Okay, interesting. I think I've seen this thing before, the ot. Oz, rather. Oz is. A sentence embedded within a sentence. Ich hab lieb Oz. Written with a ba, hab lieb Oz. We call a complementizer. It's also got an. It is that O really is the letter though, so I won't put it here. It's the same aleph with a different modifying mark. Oz is. This one is also written without the aleph. The ein letter is just the vowel sound in all positions, initially as well as in the middle or end of the word. Is. This one has the glottal stop though. Is written man. Also is mein Bruder. Maybe I'll use Y for this one. Okay. E is written U. The sound is not U, but maybe I'll just use U. Just remember this is sounding as an E, I think, though I haven't heard this word. That's the general rule. So, after the word Oz, what we have there is a complete sentence. Complementizer there, and then that ends. He is my brother is a complete sentence on its own, and that's part of this larger structure. I like that he is. And the Oz, I think, is related to our word that from a that, something like thata in an earlier stage, having lost its initial consonant, though, like you see in Swedish too.
Welches bed?
Welches bet. For the agreement, let me write this one down. Welches, S is a neuter suffix. Welches X is for the ch sound. Welches, and then bet. Oh, let's also add some grammatical annotation. Is mijn Schwester. Even though there's no ending, it's important to note that we know it's nominative singular feminine. Welches bet, this one is nominative singular neuter. So stem is welch, and an S is suffixed for neuter agreement. Which is the same word originally, and bed.
hat dan computer en ich meinem.
Beautiful. Dan computer nicht. Wait. In ich meinen. He has your computer. In ich meinen, and I have mine. The verb isn't repeated, just I, mine.
Ich darf dich.
Ich darf dich. I need you. Hot. Wait, hot. Sie would be dich lieb, not dir. Accusative pronoun form there. Direct object.
Siehst du mich?
Siehst du mich? The old long U
Siehst du?
written with the Vav letter in both of those positions. Siehst du was original older suchst du. Mich, accusative again. Are you looking for me?
Ich hab dich so lieb.
Ich hab dich so lieb. I love you so much. Or I like you so much.
Meine Schwester hat dich lieb.
Meine Schwester hat dich lieb. Meine
Meine Schwester hat dich lieb.
Schwester hat dich lieb.
Lieb.
Lieb. Likes you. And that is also, yeah, the same one again. Meine Schwester, noun phrase. Ich hab lieb os. So for this one, we're saying the sentence is mein Bruder with the complementizer right in front. Os is mein Bruder behaves like a noun in the sentence, the object of to like. So it's a sentence treated as an object. Ich ess mein
Apple.
In ich ess ein what's this? Ui, euer, deinem. Und ihr auch it is. Okay, euch auch. So I eat my apple, plural.
Apple.
Same word. I eat my apple. And here let's note the inflection. In ich ess, and I eat. Also, I also eat. Euch. Hey, what's up? Would like me to join on audio or just chat? Yeah, let's. Audio is more convenient, and then if the lag is bad, you can always switch back. Let me tell you my sutras. And I eat. Or do you want? I don't know. I don't want to deprive you of the opportunity to just try your own without any influence from mine. What do you want? Would you just like to hear what I've got? The announce to those who are not privy, sutras on German adjective inflection is a project I proposed for today. I set myself the goal to describe a German paradigm with with the shortest set of rules I could. Instead of listing the whole paradigm, just to sort of get in the spirit of Paanini, to sort of apply his technique. I actually wrote, okay, first let's see the paradigm. For those who don't know. Oh, I guess I gotta open, what's it called? This one. Silly me. Good evening. Let me know when you're there. I'd like to hear...
Okay, I'm here.
Welcome. How was your day?
It was good. We visited a lot with my grandparents today.
Capital.
They're leaving on Sunday.
What are the plans for tomorrow?
They'll come in the morning.
Sounds like a winner, as we say. So, shall I just jump into my sutras, or do you want to try your hand at it first?
Well, let's take a look at the paradigm.
Nah, good idea. Let's also review the German technical linguistic terms. Do you know what it is for masculine?
No.
Männlich.
I don't know that I do know. Männlich.
You want to guess feminine?
Weiblich.
Good. Exactly. The stem is our word, same as our word wife, but it means woman rather than a married woman. And then for neuter...
Yeah, that changed in English.
Indeed. Oh, okay, yeah. Excellent. And now for neuter, there's an interesting contrast. There's a word with the same components, but a different sound. That means
Neutre.
Objective. Sächlich is the grammatical term for neuter. There's also a word sachlich, from Sache also. Alright, and the puzzle, or the thing that we're trying to describe and find the pattern in, is what the adjective does, what form the adjective takes when an article is there. That's the more common one. There is that also that paradigm. Say what?
Wie sagt man plural?
Mehrzahl. That's also what we need. Very good. Einzahl, Mehrzahl. Bahuvachanam here. And I'm going to use these terms to name columns of the thing. I'll describe, well, we'll see the paradigm. So with your der, you're going to get der Gute. So the important thing we're concerned with here is what comes after the T. The verb stem is gut, meaning good. Oh, weiblich, that doesn't work there. Oh, no. I could move this over. So, walk us through it as best you recall.
Okay. This is the without article 1.
No, with.
So there should be...
No. You see on my notepad,
okay.
I have to zoom out a bit to get...
Oh, with. So it's the der form?
Der gute Mann.
Right, so it should be... Oh, it's ihn. So, gute, guten.
Let's, for it not to just be disembodied word, can you give us like a short phrase, an example word?
Let's see. Der gute Mann. Die gute Gitarre.
Very nice.
Let's see, what's a neuter noun? Das gute Auto.
Das gute Auto, genau.
Die guten Lieder.
Lieder, songs?
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. Good choice. All correct. Now, der zweite Fall. We do. And Fall is just the gloss of the word case from the root of falling. Erster Fall. F-A-L-L.
Oh, because case also means fall in Latin, right?
Same metaphor. It's just the calque of that term. And in Latin, it was borrowed from Greek ptosis. Now it's den, it's our zweiter Fall.
Den, and I'll use the same nouns. Den
And
guten Mann.
for those of you reading along, I'm using an underscore to mark where the adjective stem is. Den guten, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm not adding the noun here is so it doesn't clutter up the picture. But you would also get the same adjective form if the noun was omitted, which it sometimes is. Then accusative, singular, feminine, please.
Die Gitarre.
What was it?
Das
Wait,
gute
what was it again for guitar, please?
Die gute Gitarre.
Exactly. Okay, ready?
Das gute Auto.
Das gute. Good. All right, we're ready. And the plural. Lieder.
Die guten Lieder.
Exactly. Okay. Dem ist ein dritter Fall. Third case dative.
And the rest of these are all just guten.
Very nice. Yeah. Another set of names for the cases, though, is worth mentioning. Wer Fall, wen Fall, wem Fall, and then wessen Fall. For the same cases in that order. En. But let's review the articles, though. So, dem guten Manne, to the good woman, would be?
Dem guten
singular.
Frau.
To the good woman. It's not dem.
Oh, to dative. Dem.
No, feminine, please. Weiter.
No.
Dritter Fall.
I know how to count. Der guten Frau.
Exactly. And then to the good, what was your sächlich?
Auto.
Auto. And we already said it.
Dem guten Auto.
That's it. And Mehrzahl now. Dritter Fall dative. This one is den. And of course,
den
with an N.
guten.
Dental N there.
Yes.
Okay. Just make sure. And we already said what it is in all those cases. Exactly. Oh, but that's only half of it. The fun continues. This is, to my mind, like it's the most basic, the most elementary, or need to know German, but it's also the most intricate and the hardest. It's like the easiest to get wrong, hardest to get right, part of German grammar. So I hope, if we view it in a new light with these sutras, I'm already sensing results as far as we were talking about it a lot today, though. So der N. Des guten Autos, der guten Lieder. Vierter Fall, wessen Fall. Vierter Fall. And then we have it, the indefinite, so ein and kein, and there's maybe a few other words that go like it, but ein is the shortest. So what is a good man?
Ein guter Mann.
Exactly. A good woman.
Ein gute Frau.
Not quite. Eine.
Eine. Oh, yeah.
And then a good
I was
car.
busy thinking about the adjective. I forgot the article. Ein
Use force, Luke.
gutes Auto.
Gutes Auto and good songs. Well, we can say kein. So kein, in Paani's way of referring to things, he could have a short string like ein, which occurs within this word, refer to both expressions. Anything with like mein, dein, sein are also like this, I believe. Sein guter.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is quite convenient. And what was it for the Lieder, please?
Let's see. It should be kein.
Mehrzahl.
Lieder. Kein.
Mehrzahl. No. Keine.
Kein guten Lieder.
No.
Keine.
Keine guten. There we go.
Oh yes, keine guten Lieder.
Right. The article inflection is a different topic. We can write other sutras for those. They don't change, though. They're not sensitive to whether the adjective is there. It's the same basic paradigm. But it's the adjective one that is tricky and just real fussy and hard to get. All right. Zweiter Fall, Akkusativ. Bitte. A good man.
Let's see. It should mostly be the same except for ein guten here.
Einen.
Ein guten Mann.
Einen.
Einen.
Yeah.
Okay.
A good woman.
Einen.
These are actually, they mirror the nominative of both these guys. And then
Eine gute Frau. Let's see. Ein gutes Auto.
ein gutes Auto.
Keine guten Lieder.
One more time, please.
Keine guten Lieder.
There it is. Yeah, keine guten Lieder.
Now I notice we have to switch to keine because you can't have eine with the meaning plural.
So it is an absurdity and an obscenity, it would be. Dun, dun, keine. Now, dative, dritter Fall, keinen, as an N as above in this position. Keinen guten Kindern. And lastly, genitive, wessen Fall, vierter. So I'm introducing these terms because I'm gonna build sutras with them, just to have as much German in them as possible. Okay, and it's eines guten. I now again repeated the line above. Eines guten Autos. Eines guten. Keine guten Lieder. And that's it. So we've got to find some way to get in our brains, into our bodies, the E versus EN versus ER, yes, these four. So I think I'll tell you my sutras, and we can talk about the implications of it. First one. Zum Adjektiv. Although I might repeat that with a German equivalent. Nach Artikel.
Can you write the sutras in the
actually,
chat too?
I am, and I did actually. So I don't need to repeat myself. I'll just scroll down, and we've got it here. Zum Adjektiv nach Artikel enuk would be one possible name, and an option is given later. E-N-U-K. Tell me when you can see it.
Okay, I see it on the screen.
Good. Zum Adjektiv nach Artikel enuk. And I would want to underline this U. I'm going to highlight it here. This U is just a bit of glue. It's a glue U. The phonetic part is N, and K is indicatory. K tells you, put this at the end of a thing that you're adding it to. It's a meaningless augment.
Okay.
Make sense?
And the U is just there to make us pronounce it.
Yes, to let it be pronounced. We could suppose call it enk, but it's just part of Paanini's style for this type of thing that he uses a U between them, a meaningless U. Another form you could give it is ken.
So all adjectives after an article, we add N.
Yes, specifically where? The K tells us at the end of the thing. So back to the paradigm. Basically, it's N everywhere. We need to account for these three and these two. In both paradigms, the same shape. The first three, in the plural, it's all N. And then weiblich, sächlich, zweiter Fall. That's all we have to say. That varies. So we have got to specify it. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Second sutra. Im ersten, meaning im ersten Fall, männlich, Schwindet N. You might not have seen schwindet as a verb.
Yeah, it doesn't sound familiar.
But do you know verschwinden, or also schwund? Let's see. What else is there from it? Means to disappear.
Okay, it sounds familiar.
Okay.
Verschwindet. Yeah, I think I have heard that.
Oh, so can you give us the plain English meaning of the first two sutras here?
Okay, to the adjective after the article goes
Exactly.
this N.
Enuk.
Okay.
It's kind of a
In
different sounding
first
name.
case.
Männlich.
In first case, the männlich one, it's not manly. What is it? Masculine. Disappears the N.
Good. So that really derives. Which ones does it derive? This rule.
Let's see. Only the first one, right? Der Gute. So it's case one, masculine.
That's right. It also affects ein guter, because that is first case. Here I haven't distinguished which article. It's just both articles. This is true.
Okay.
Then a later change will take place. And this kind of two-step or multi-step procedure is very characteristic of Panini.
Okay.
From what I've seen so far. Let me just bring this up closer.
So at this stage, everything is still N, and we've only changed der Gute and ein Guter. We've gotten rid of the N.
You have got it, yeah. And so far, the order in which the sutras are given are also the order of derivation. It's a very short set. In Panini, that's not at all what's required.
Okay.
It can be in any order in the grammar. There is a restriction on order that he gives himself is if two rules are in conflict and would give different outputs, then whatever comes latest in the grammar is the one to be followed. So a nice elegant solution there. All right, that was im männlich, im ersten männlich. So this is a special use of the adjective following the head noun, which is omitted. Im ersten, meaning case, in the first case. Und Einzahl erster, zweiter. Und Einzahl. Now, what I mean by that, of course, is not Mehrzahl.
Okay, singular.
So I've specified.
Oh, that makes sense because it's one and then Zahlen is to count. Yeah, okay.
Ekavachanam, exactly. By that I mean, so masculine, of course, this column, the first one, is also singular. Maybe I'll put this in the middle, kind of. Einzahl applies to the first three. But because I've already specified masculine, it's implied, it will be understood, that I mean the other two singular cases. So I'm excluding the plural, saying the rest of the singular, and it's first case, so these two, and then second case. So with that, I've derived those four, and also eine Gute, ein Gutes, for both these cases. Make sense?
Okay.
All right. That's the third. So where did I put it above? So again, zum Adjektiv nach Artikel Enuk. Im ersten männlich schwindet N. Und Einzahl erster, zweiter. I could say und im Einzahl. In der Einzahl. I don't know the gender actually of this as a grammar term. Die Zahl, but in a compound it can be different. Fourth sutra. Nach ein.
Is it usually compounds take the gender of the last thing in the compound?
They do, but it could have an underlying noun like. Well, let's look it up. It's probably on Wiktionary. That is a very true observation. That is the rule, that the gender will bleed up from the last one. Singular and it's feminine. Die Einzahl. Und Einzahl erster, zweiter. So in der Einzahl, just to be short, I would want to use a locative if I were Panini using Sanskrit, but German doesn't have one. But I think the in der is kind of understood. I'll just put it in brackets there. Nach ein is my next one. So this stem, im ersten männlich, im ersten Fall männlich Ruck. So what? Does that mean it's the same augment? The K tells us put it at the end. So what does that let us derive? Nach ein im ersten männlich.
Nach ein. After ein in first Fall, masculine, look. So append the R.
Good.
From look.
And that's just this one form, the one segment. That's the only place you get an R suffix. It's not in the definite, just after ein. That means not just one, but any of those determiners that inflect like it. Kein, mein, dein, sein, maybe others. We add that R, and then the very last sutra, und im ersten, zweiten, sächlich, suk. So, skin talking
And
only.
I see it.
You see it only after the ein stems add an S there. So, should we do some derivations with those sutras? Do you have them copied? Let me just put them in the chat. Easy to convey.
Okay.
And the dash, it means the beginning of the line.
Do you have the melody for these?
No, I don't.
Like the recitation?
I'd be happy to accept one if you have one on hand. Brother, can you pass on a melody? Or any of our viewers, please feel encouraged to share with us.
I don't know, because it's kind of supposed to be like a chant type one, you know, like da 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 da. Kind of.
Not terribly German. Maybe it should be a bit more Bach, a bit less mantra. Zum Adjektiv nach Artikel. Something like that. Im ersten männlich schwindeten.
If you're going for Bach, that doesn't sound very Baroque.
Well, it is a citation of one of his works, but if you don't think he sounds like himself, then let you tell him.
So you were just singing it with a more like different kind of style, but okay.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you what work number it is, but it's a piano. I think one of his inventions starts out like that.
Okay.
So let's derive a couple of them just for fun to see. Let's put the engine in. We'll build this structure in our brains and then run a few words through it.
Okay.
Let's do des guten Mannes. This case. And with it, so we're not worried about des or the Mann, but we want to teach a student succinctly what's going to be the appropriate form of the adjective there. We know it's going to have gut. What goes on the blank? Nothing. Is it is it en? So we'll read through these 5 sutras, and the student should be able to grind through it and find the answer.
Okay.
Zum Adjektiv nach Artikel enuk. So in the first instance, after application of Sutra 1, what's the outcome?
Guten.
Exactly. Stage 1 is guten, but that's not the final form. See if 2 applies. Im ersten männlich.
We are not in case 1.
Exactly. We're in.
So we do
dritter
not
Fall.
schwindet the N.
Doesn't apply. Same thing. N is left. Und in der Einzahl, erster, zweiter.
Okay,
Same
3.
rejection. Nach einem ersten männlich. So everything else is applied to. So really, want to find something. To be even more Paninine, I'd want to collapse it a bit and have a short expression to say these 1, 2, 3, and then 2, 3 over here. To have a single syllable to express just that set of things. So we're done. Guten is the form. Let's do eines guten Autos. Ein gutes Auto, nominative. Let's do that one. Ein gut blank Auto. Noun is always capitalized.
Okay, so our first step, we'll put en.
Exactly.
Ein guten Auto. Now, step 2.
Im ersten
männlich ein. ersten männlich schwindet in. This is erste sächlich. So we do not schwindet the in.
Exactly.
So we stay at guten. Now we will see what happens next.
3. Und in der
In
Einzahl.
der Einzahl.
Und Einzahl erster, zweiter.
Okay, now we're in the first two cases or numbers. We're in weiblich and sächlich. After ein.
Wait, no. We're on Sutra 3, which doesn't mention. It's not ein, but Einzahl.
Einzahl. In der erste Einzahl.
Im ersten Fall in der Einzahl.
Zweite Einzahl. Im ersten Fall.
In der Einzahl. So it's
okay.
It's not masculine.
We are in first case.
Yes. All right. What's the outcome?
And we are also. Should be. Wait a minute. And so we're following the same thing we did before. Remove the in, right? It doesn't give an instruction. Just
yes, exactly right. Yeah, that information schwindet n. That verbal part is repeated from the sutra above. That's the idea.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so, that's how Panini does it a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He doesn't repeat the same information if it's from the sutra above. So that's why you can't just read the text and understand it. You have to know what is repeating from the preceding bit to make sense of it. But that's what you learn as you go. And then you just chant it, memorize it as a string of words. You'll have it so thoroughly in your head at some point that you can just recall how everything is structured and what each sutra is telling you. So, what's the outcome now of the third sutra? I think we have changed because we're in the right domain. The first part of these sutras was
Gute.
Gute, yeah, exactly. Just an E suffix.
Yeah.
And then Sutra 4 says, nach ein, which is relevant, applicable, im ersten männlich. So no, disregard that. No change, it's still The final sutra says, und im ersten, zweiten, sächlich suk. So.
Oh, cool. Und im ersten sächlich suk has the same rhythm as so wie anderen Volken erst from the end of the Kinderhymne. Are you familiar with that poem?
No, I don't know that.
It was going to be I think it's from Bertolt Brecht.
Okay.
It was going to be the national anthem, but then they just used the West Germany national anthem instead. It has the same rhythm as the last line from that poem.
Very nice. Und is that with the ordinals read? Und im ersten, zweiten, sächlich suk. Like that?
I think it only has one ordinals. Because it's so wie anderen Volken erst.
Okay, yeah, this one has two. So, what's the outcome?
They're not quite the same. Yeah. Well, we are in first and second case exactly. So we will add the S. So we get ein gutes Auto.
You got it. That is the outcome of applying all 5 sutras. So I think you could still maybe collapse some things if you put them into compounds. Get maybe a more elegant expression. But this is kind of my imitation of his technique and his style. Should we do another?
Okay. Yeah.
Let's do ein guter Mann. Can only be nominative.
Does this account for the ones with no article?
No, I have not included that. We could do that now. Do you want to? Let's do ein guter Mann. Let's direct that.
Okay.
So after
first,
one, of
zum
course.
Adjektiv nach Artikel genug.
Sorry.
You said it goes zum Adjektiv nach Artikel genug. So.
Zum Adjektiv nach Artikel, this accented one there, Artikel, genug.
So to all of them.
Yeah.
So this is going to yield Ein guten Mann.
Exactly, ungrammatically there. Sutra 2
Yep.
tells us what?
Im ersten männlich schwindet in. So now we have ein guter Mann.
Exactly. Still not quite it. Third sutra is not needed. It's continuing an operation, but we've already applied the operation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So another way to think of the 4,000 sutras is you would apply a change to a word form from the underlying one, and then run mentally through all 4,000, see what applies, do it again until you get the proper form. All right, third sutra. So here it's just 5.
Okay. So when it says und in der Einzahl ersten zweite,
it means the end disappears.
this only is weiblich and sächlich.
Right, exactly.
Is that correct?
Or another way
and
you
that's
can do it.
because we've already
it
done it in mainly.
Right. Another way you could do it, which was maybe more like his style, in der Einzahl schwindet n. Schwindet n. Außer männlich zweiter Fall. State an exception.
Okay.
Would be the other way to do it.
Okay, good.
Nach ein erster, zweiter Zug, außer männlich Ruck or something. But anyway, let's keep the original sutras as written. We can find more elegant ways, maybe coming up. Where were we? 2 is applied, and then the third sutra is just not relevant anymore because we've applied the operation. Nach ein im ersten männlich.
Ruck.
So.
Nach einem ersten männlich Ruck.
Im ersten männlich Ruck, which applies. So what's the outcome?
So that should give ein guter. I know you don't usually pronounce the R at the end of the syllable. I was just highlighting it.
Be real clear. You'd have elsewhere in the grammar, you'd have a rule saying that we treat pre-vocalic and post-vocalic R as the same phoneme, but actually the second one is vocalized or whatever. Yeah. Exactly. It would be dia, breaking into 2 syllables. And then the fourth sutra, und im ersten, zweiten, sächlich, suk, doesn't apply. We know we're masculine. So no change. The outcome is, after all 4, ein guter Mann. Which is what we want. So a real simple case with just 2 short paradigms. And now you said, I take you up on your challenge to try to find for the absolute forms. So let me get that. These are rarely...
Okay, now I have a question here for you.
Okay.
Your it markers are not... I like them, but we have a K at the end, which means put this... Are we defining like a set with these, or what? They don't seem to quite function like the it markers in Panini.
Well, this it in this type of thing, remember the sutra I shared you, adyantao takitao specifies the operation of this K. Yeah. There might be more than one, but that's the main one. Their ta is not relevant. I haven't used it. There are initial increments in German, but not in this set of things. Not in my analysis here. I'm treating it as a final increment. It's just added to sound right. It doesn't really carry any grammatical meaning in this analysis. There's other ways to look at it.
Okay, and then in the fourth one.
Say what?
The fourth one, we're allowed to pronounce suk with a voiceless S, even though other parts of the grammar have prevented us from starting a syllable with a voiceless S like this.
Yeah, excellent observation. That is how I intended. Panini, what he does, like a term like uch, meaning vowel, could not be an actual word in script. It could be a stem, but not the nominative. So he sort of goes a little bit beyond the borders of Sanskrit phonology for his grammatical terms. So that's what I have as my model, and this one's going to be added to the end of a thing. It's going to be voiceless, of course. You could call it zook, I suppose, and then just have the usual alternation. I don't know, I felt like saying zook.
Okay.
Rook also...
Yeah, that makes more sense because it will be voiceless when it occurs, right, at the end.
Yeah, and I have no trouble saying it, but I suppose the traditions could vary on that point, yeah. Alright, now let me get that handy paradigm shared for the absolute forms. Because these, like I say, are rarely encountered. It's der, den, dem, den, die, der, die, der. Now, good news about those is that they inflect like the article. So my take on that is determiner inflection. It's the same set of endings, although you have s rather. In the neuter, erster, zweiter Fall, sächlich. At that bottom paradigm, are you looking at the same one? The one you shared earlier in the day? Lernen Sie Deutsch mit mir was the source of it.
Oh, yes.
Let me just put it up. Well,
okay.
But you see what I'm saying? Let me put it up and we'll make it explicit. So it is...
It looks a lot like the paradigm for the articles.
Exactly. I see one discrepancy, and that is... erster, zweiter, sächlich, gutes Auto. So in a vocative, you would have a case like this. Gutes Auto. Instead of das, it's s, but really the s is what's important. Not really discrepancy. But yeah, so...
I see two discrepancies.
Okay.
What is it? Vierten Fall.
Vierten? You mean the genitive? What was
Yep.
It? Okay, vierten, not fürst.
Vierten, okay. Yeah. Vierten Fall. We have, for männlich, we have N instead of S.
Männlich
And
ein.
for
I'm sorry, what?
in.
I'm lost.
So genitive masculine have
that
des,
one. Okay, yeah.
but your adjective ending is in.
Good.
And same for neuter.
We need a sutra, and neuter also, not des. Yeah, very good. So, thinking of the N as not a meaningful part historically, but... Oh, you know what the EN looks like, though, in those bottom forms? It looks very much like to me. Nasosam. So we could just take that straight over from Panini. That's very good. We need sutras for those. So it's determined. So I'm sort of sketching it out down here. No article, that paradigm, has the determiner inflection, but we need a rule that says replace. So let's find what are the terms we need for the sutra? The German grammatical terms, please. Come on. I think you said them.
Männlich, sächlich, vierten Fall.
Good. Männlich, sächlich, vierter Fall. Exactly. Now, one way that Pani would avoid saying two words is he would say nicht weiblich. The equivalent of that.
But that also, if you strictly say nicht weiblich, that also includes Mehrzahl, isn't it?
Well, good objection. It's not that paradigm. So we could have in our domain that it's for singular. It could be either specified in this sutra or, depending on where we put it in, it could be continued from a sutra above.
Okay.
Stick it in somewhere after an Einzahl has occurred in the text. In order to avoid, he has his words, his technical terms, all the stuff he uses, he wants to repeat them as little as possible in the recitation to make it maximally short, minimally long. Alright, so nicht weiblich, I'm going to use in this sense, that's the singular. What the operation happening is that instead of an S is substituted by an N. And how Panini would say that would be, in place of S, let's put S, sa would be the syllable, and then the genitive, so ngus.
So, and we wouldn't need to add the T to indicate S alone because that is just for vowels.
That's only for vowels, exactly right. And the N, the thing being added, would be in the nominative, so it would be na in the su form. So maybe we could just express this in Panini in Sanskrit. Nicht weiblich sangas nasu. It wouldn't be sangas. He would inflect it though. So this is an a final stem. We get a replacement of ngas. We say sya, sasya. And na su. The u is indicatory. We get nas. Word finally though, we replace s with a visarga, but this is not Sanskrit but German. Sasya nas, we could say. Or in a more German style, S, N anstelle von S. Nicht weiblich. We heard that anstelle von?
Stelle.
An even shorter way, statt. Instead of. It's that stead noun, grammaticalized as a preposition. Statt S. So a sutra needs to tell us this. Nicht weiblich anstatt S.
Weiblich und Staffel.
We've written our first joint sutra. Sasyanaha would be how Sanskrit, how Panini would say that. Maybe. The nominative for the thing that is left over, and if something is being replaced, that is put in the genitive.
Okay, so we have different sutras somewhere that explain how the determiners work.
Or that would be one of the basics that you memorize, like su ojas, those. Might do that because it's so simple.
Risi, Nisi, Merman, Sursur.
For instance, that could be our sutra. We could build on the tradition. How does that go? So, I mean, how is it read through the parrot?
Risi.
Oh, R-E-S-E, Nisi. I see now. For the final letters.
Oh, maybe it should be Rese.
Rese, Nese.
Yeah, if it should be more Germanly pronounced.
Rese, Nese,
Rese, Nese.
Merman, Nana. Merman, Nana. So read it in a German style. Yeah, I like this idea. This sutra will be determiner. So the heading is determiner inflection. And the recitation, the sutra has it. Rese, Nese. Rese, Nese. And then it's Merman.
And then it's, in English it's Risi, Nisi, Merman, Sursur.
So
I don't know
das, yeah. Zerza. Merman, Zerza.
Yeah.
Merman, Rese, Nese, Merman, Zerza.
Rese, Nese, Merman, Zerza.
So let's find, I don't know offhand if there's a native German word for the determiner. Grammar, this one, to take me to it. Bestimme. Bestimme. Not listed here, it seems. Bestimme. We can call it that, though. It's literally just taking the verb determine in its everyday sense and making an agent noun from it. There's got to be a native German word. I'll see what I have on hand in my library that might tell me the answer to that. So, but this would be the sutra to recall those elements. And we need to say pre-vocalize as needed. You'd add an a before s. A sutra would tell us that. You generally insert an e letter, e phoneme, but before the s you would have an a. Or you could just call it.
Well, that's not necessarily, because if you have das, it has
true.
an a,
That's
but if
right.
you have des, it has an e.
Another sutra would say that. And let's consider the other way of putting it. In der Einzahl schwindet n. Back to the adjective form. Außer männlich zweiter Fall. Then what would it be for the other two? Im ersten, zweiten, sächlich so. Sächlich männlich. Here would be his one way he might do it. Nach ein, meaning the stem. So I'm putting it in brackets for that reason. Nach ein, im ersten, zweiten, im ersten, zweiten. Nach ein, im ersten, zweiten. But we need to say that it's neuter. Nach einem, ersten, zweiten, sächlich, suck. Männlich. What is it? Männlich ruck. Außer zweiten. Männlich erster. Okay, so how do we cancel? Oh, no, what I was going to say was männlich sächlich rucksuck. He would compound it. Männlich sächlich rucksuck außer zweiter männlich. Something like that. We need to say not the accusative. Or you might say rasuk. R and S as augments. In order not to repeat himself there with the K. Have a single K applying to both.
Oh, if we want to make it shorter, can we share the leash, the main sich leash or something?
Say Manzach or something.
Yeah.
Depending on how crazy we wanted to get, I suppose. So with that out of the way, let's see how the story is in Yiddish, as I said.
Oh, the plural is Mehrzahl, so we could use leash as a word meaning singular.
How do you mean?
So männlich, weiblich, sächlich all have leash. Mehrzahl does not. So we could refer to the singular ones as leash.
Very nice. That's thinking like a true Panini. I'll add it here. That morpheme being shared, it saves a syllable from Einzahl. Mehrzahllich. A technical term, maybe all caps. Why not? There's a saying that the grammarian rejoices. Have you heard this? He rejoices over a saved syllable more than over the birth of a son. Yes. Euch is, and I also eat. Many hours left this. Deinem with an M final. That's kind of cool. And I also eat yours. That's very unlike German. So, back to Yiddish notes here. On inflection, ich ess. And that has the model. So I'm doing sort of middle ground transliteration transcription. So to capture both the sound and features of the spelling. Ich ess man apple. And what am I doing for E? Y? Ride. Maybe I use Y. Schwester. What do you recommend?
Oh,
That is pronounced E.
the verb is different here. It's not esse, it's just s.
True, but that's frequent in spoken German as well, spoken High German. S
Okay.
really depends, I guess, how the word begins. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. What conditions it in actual spoken usage. In spelling, you would generally write it. That's kind of an archaism, like we have a lot in English too. Und ich
We
esse.
always learned it with the e on the end, but
Euch. Now I don't know what this diphthong is. I'm just gonna put OU. Ich esse, right? Och, maybe euch. Deinem. Which is accusative.
okay.
So like him versus ihn. I've never seen an M in a German accusative word. Ich esse. Mein Apple with no suffix. Accusative.
Deinem.
Meinen Apfel. Assuming it's
Oh, you're writing the yod even though it's not pronounced. It's like
sort of
deinem, like we say.
because there's a letter for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe other forms of Yiddish would have it.
Zettel in Sprinze sind in meine Schwester.
In Sprinze, Zennen, Mana. This one has, so plural still has it. Zennen, Mana.
Yeah, do you remember that song that I learned? The Yiddish translation of the Leonard Cohen Hallelujah?
I certainly don't remember.
That has it keeps the yod there. It's Ich bin geschlafen auf dein Tier.
Sorry, what? Can you share it
Ich
with
bin
letters?
geschlafen. I don't know how you write it. I just know it by sound. But
Oh.
I'll sound it out.
And Sprinze, Zennen,
Uh,
Mana. So plural, we have an E. My sister, Schwester, with no ending. Not Schwestern.
There, I sounded it out.
Okay. Ich bin geschlafen auf den dein. Oh, there you're saying the I is still
Dein, yeah.
Die.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Very good. Exactly what I had in mind, yeah.
Hat eine Schwester
So that's
mich lieb?
interesting. They use bin there, right? Because to sleep is not movement from A to B.
True.
So what I suspect is that they did, in English we kind of generalized it and we use have everywhere now. So I'm assuming that they did the opposite and now use been everywhere.
Do you think so? Hop, no.
That's my guess, but I don't know.
We've seen hop used a form of perfect, right? Maybe not. Maybe just
Okay.
as a possessive.
Maybe.
The thing, one drawback to Duolingo is it's only present tense in, it seems, every single language course. No tense but the present. At least early on.
No, there's definitely past tense ones in Yiddish or in Hebrew that I did before.
Okay, good. I'm glad to know. So, hop. Maybe we've got one here. Hop.
Hat eine Schwester mich lieb?
Actually, this is a different use of it. Does your sister like me? As we can easily tell from looking at the English words, it's got to be that sentence. It's kind of nice, though, that the word bank gives you a real big help, or you can fly blind. So you set the difficulty levels in a video game. Dan Brieder is do is here, remember, and then aber wie is meiner, wie being wo, where. Your brother is here, but where's mine?
Mein Mein Bruder sagt, als hat dich lieb.
So I could see maybe the bin or the sein being used for intransitives and hop for transitive verbs. I think it would be hop
Maybe
geschrieben,
that could be.
not ich bin geschrieben, if that's the right form for right. Yeah, we'll see. I hope we see it. Might have to look
Okay.
elsewhere.
You would
Maybe-
use
Maybe in that same Cohen translation. Any hop
yeah, I can send it to you.
man brider, and this is zogt as that hot dich lieb. My brother says he likes you. That he likes you. Ich hab das nicht lieb. I don't like that. I don't like this. Okay, this is Yossi. Is that the form? Yossi is mein Bruder. The double S. Yossi is mein.
Hat mich lieb.
Hat mich lieb. He likes me.
Sprinze is my Schwester.
Sprinze. Sprinze is my sister. Ich hab lieb as is mein Bruder. Oh, and here the lieb is before that object. I think
Is.
would, at least now German, it would come after the object of it. But since it's sentential, I like that he is my brother. And German also, liebhaben can only be used with a person, object, or stimulus, or whatever. Schradz. Thank you. So a lot of grammar there. Let's review what we've noted down. Es mein Apple. My apples. And I think this one, the 0 here on mein, would mean, gracias. Would mean that it's singular, not plural.
Okay, yes, this is the song.
Yep.
In the aforementioned one. Good.
Lyrics included. Yes.
Gewinn an irgendwie so,
Description maybe.
was
The
David
descriptions
hat
on
gespielt,
screen
vergot,
are the
no.
English.
I can't hear what you're saying, but I've already found what I'm looking for in line 2.
Okay.
Gewinn an irgendwie so. Can you recall the opening 2 lines?
I see it, yes.
Was David hat gespielt, vergot.
What?
Put it in the chat.
Okay. Let's go with hot. Oh, sure enough, now we have hopping.
Didn't have to look too far. What do you feel like seeing on Duolingo today? Oh, let's do a bit of... Tell me if you have a strong preference otherwise, but let's practice our recitation and maybe push a little bit forward. Is your brain up to it? I know you said
Okay.
you were a little... Well, we can just... Listening isn't too taxing, I hope. Sound good?
Immerhin.
Okay.
Alright.
So aujas, am autshas, tabihambis, gebihambis, ngasibihambis, ngasosam, ngeosup, samsup. Tiptas jhisiptas tha mipvasmas, ta damja, thasatham dvam, itvahimahin.
Lovely. Okay, and can you remind us how Agni goes the first few cases? In whatever form you like, written or spoken. Let's just hear that again to get it in our ear brains.
So aujas, am autshas, tabihambis, Nge bihambhyas, ngasi bihambhyas,
Agni.
ngasosam, nge usup. Suauchasam auchas tabhyambis, nge bihambhyas, ngasi bihambhyas, ngasosam, nge usup. Tiptas jhi siptas tha mipvasmas ta tam jha tha satham dhavam itvahimahing. Tiptas jhi siptas tha mipvasmas ta atam jha tha satham dhavam itvahimahing.
Oh, what was the plural again? And we're gonna stick Agni plus us, so we should get Agnes.
That does occur elsewhere, but are you talking about Jess or which case?
Yeah, the just one.
Agnayaha.
Agnayaha.
The guna of the stem final and the usual us becoming aha.
Okay, yep, so...
Agnayaha.
Yep, got it.
Agnayaha, I think would be.
Agnayaha.
And, yeah. Well, let's do one paradigm at a time. I don't want to overwhelm you. Agni, Agnayaha. Good. Perfect.
Agni. Now this one is so it should be Agnayam. Agnayam. Is that right, or does it just become
It's shorter. The
Agnaim?
suffix is truncated. Did you say agnim?
Yes, I did.
Agnim. Very close.
Agnim.
But the 0 grade vowel. So
Okay.
I'm going to
Agnim.
play the opening prarthana invocation. Is that all right? While you recall the triplets.
Okay.
Yeah.
येनाक्षरसमाम्नायमधिगम्य महेश्वरात् कृत्स्नं व्याकरणं प्रोक्तं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः येन धौता गिरः पुंसां विमलैः शब्दवारिभिः तमश्चाज्ञानजं भिन्नं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः.
By the way, look at the double N here. Bhinnam. Isn't that cool? Instead of being at a right angle, they're stacked and they're now fanning out from the stem.
वाक्यकारं वररुचिं भाष्यकारं
fourth line, right before the midpoint. Bhinnam.
Oh, wow.
Jajyanajam bhinnam. Yeah, same thing that happens with the ancha cluster there.
Yeah, I would not have guessed what that was.
But now you see, so the N has that characteristic heavy hook at the end, that bulbous tip there. That's what you gotta look for.
पाणिनिं सूत्रकारं च प्रणतोऽस्मि मुनित्रयम्.
Once when I was in India, I saw a sign where they tried to write Devanagari with a Western serif font style, and that little heavy hook on the end of the N was like a big circle.
Yep.
That was like stylized like a serif O. It looked really strange. The balance was kind of off.
Like that it's stuck with you these many months.
Yeah.
So a real traumatizing N letter one.
I was just like, but then it's not a well-designed font.
So by the way, the Om sign, yeah, it's quite abbreviated. But if you think of it, write that. So how we write the O vowel, what it represents is U, and this curling in the place of the stem. Think of that as the wow shape, maybe, and then the nasality shown by Chandrabindu. So the three-shaped and then U. Oh, 3 for as in Egyptian, by the way. And then a curling U, which is the quail chick, and a nice divinity, a moon goddess up above, arms raised benignly, is Om.
Ayuna Rudraka Evom ऐऔच हयवरट लन ञमगणनम झभय घढधश जबगडधश ख फ छ ठ थ चटतप कपय शशसर हल इति माहेश्वराणि सूत्राणि.
And then the accusative plural, think of how Day1 goes. The gods, quite parallel to that.
Devanaha.
No, Day1 is accusative, is the shus form.
Oh, yes.
Shus, Day1. This one is
Agnan.
अथ प्रथमोऽध्यायः.
No. It's
Agnan.
No, it's the
Agnan.
stem final vowel is just lengthened and N is added.
प्रथमः पादः वृद्धिरादैच अदेङ्गुणः इको गुणवृद्धि न धातुलोप आर्धधातुके इति च दीधिवेवीटाम् हलोऽनन्तराः संयोगः मुखनासिकावचनोऽनुनासिकः तुल्यास्य प्रयत्नं सवर्णं नाझ्झलौ.
So Tritiya Vibhakti, what's the instrumental triplet?
अस्य प्रयत्नं सवर्णं
Ta Pyam Pis.
नाझ्झलौ. ईदूदेद्विवचनं प्रगृह्यम् अदसोमात् शे निपात एका जनान् ओत् सम्बुद्धौ शाकल्यस्येतावनार्षे.
In this somewhat long section, the pragrhyam, this word here is what's continued throughout all of them, meaning exempt from the euphonic changes.
ऊञः ईदूतौ च सप्तम्यर्थे.
Not vyam, not a voiced B. Agnibhit, very near. Let me not just tell you the form, but tell you that ta with this type of a noun gets an increment nurt. Ta and a nurt come together.
दाधाघ्वदा आद्यन्तवदेकस्मिन् तरप्तमपौघः बहुगणवतुडति संख्या स्नान्ताषट् डति च तक्.
That is it. Very good. N increment, which is meaningless. It's not a suffix, so this isn't a stem plus two suffixes, but an enlarged suffix. Na. That is correct. Dative triplet, please. Nge, pyam, pyas. Very few changes.
तवतो निष्ठा सर्वादीनि सर्वनामानि विभाषादिक् समासे बहुव्रीहौ न बहुव्रीहौ तृतीया समासे द्वन्द्वे च विभाषाजसि प्रथमचरमतयाल्पार्धकतिपयनेमाश्च पूर्वपरावरदक्षिणोत्तरापराधराणि व्यवस्थायामसंज्ञायाम् स्वमज्ञातिधनाख्यायाम्.
Let's just hear a few sutras so we can build up our recognition of them. Not worry too much about the meaning. And you working on the datives? You might be muted, but I'm going to back up a bit.
No, I got it.
Okay.
पूर्वपरावरदक्षिणोत्तरापराधराणि व्यवस्थायामसंज्ञायाम्.
Agnibhyam, agnibhis, not bhis. Bhis is instrument. Oh. No, bhis is third case. Try again. And for the agni and ngi, the stem final is put into guna and no other changes.
Agne.
स्वमज्ञातिधनाख्यायाम्.
No other changes. The suffix is added. If the suffix were deleted, that would be a change.
अन्तरं बहिर्योगोपसंव्यानयोः स्वरादिनिपातमव्ययम् तद्धितश्चा सर्वविभक्तिः कृन्मेजन्तः क्त्वातोऽसुन्कसुनः अव्ययीभावश्च शिसर्वनामस्थानम्.
That's quite a few. Going ahead.
व्यवस्थायामसंज्ञायाम्. दीनि सर्वनामानि Vibhashadik samase bahuvriho.
That is it. Agnaye. Unto Agni. That's right. And then Agnibhyam. Well, Bhyas is not the thing. Agnibhyas, I assume you mean. No changes there. Okay. So today, let's just do the remaining 5 cases. We've got Agni. The first one that we're left with is Ngasi. For ablative singular, Agnehe. So what do you see there? And unmute if you have to. Then, of course, it's Agnibhyam. Agnibhyas.
Okay. So Nasi, we're going to first take off the nga, because that's just there for not decoration, it's so we can refer to it. But
exactly. Got it.
and then we're going to take Agni, and then we're going to put Asi on the end. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we get Agni Asi. Of course, the E and the touching, that's not great. So we'll guna those, Agne. And then this E here at the end might do something, right? It must drop because the S must be final in order to get visargad.
Well, just like loses its initial, Agnim, you're right, we get guna of the stem. Agni becomes Agne, and the us loses its vowel. It'd be, to my mind, the simplest way to. I'm not sure that that's how Painini does it, because I haven't memorized all the sutras. Can't just tell you from memory, but my sense is that it would be that. That would be the most direct path. Sometimes the path is quite indirect, just in order to save on the number of sutras. But guna of the stem final has happened before. It's nothing unusual there, and suffix final vowel deletion happens elsewhere. Nothing unusual about that linguistically. And then for the am form, we get nurt again. We might expect it could be just agnyam, where I turns into y, but we get a meaningless n increment, agninam. So that leaves the blocative ni. That's the weirdest one. Agno. What's happened in that?
Oh, it censored ngas again.
It censored the next one. Okay. What is there anything that allows me to have it get through?
I made it visible. I made it appear on mine.
Is there anything
I
I
said
can do?
allow. I don't know.
Okay. Let me know if you find out. So what happened with it? Do you see ni and agnau? Do you see that line?
Mm-hmm. Me agno.
You do? You don't?
I do see it.
Okay, good.
Yes, affirmative.
What changes do you see?
Me agno. Okay. Agno. Oh, I see.
Oh.
And I don't know how to articulate this.
Got.
But you know how in the dual nominative, you kind of get the opposite change?
I gave a wrong form
You
there.
suffix an ow. Oh.
We're on the os one. It should be agnios there. Agnioho for the dative, genitive plural. Genitive dual, rather. That one. Agnioho. So, rather like this.
Agnioho.
I'm pretty sure. Let me double check that. And you were saying... Sorry, what were you saying?
Okay, never mind. No, that's Agnioho. So we're gonna add... Oh, so wait. Oh yeah, I guess... Wait. Genitive dual, our suffix is os.
Exactly.
So it makes sense to get Agnioho because the S then becomes visargad into the H colon.
Yep, that is standard.
I don't know why the O is long though.
It's always long. Oh, it shouldn't be doubled. It's just always sound long. Yeah, good point. That's a mistake. It should be like this. Agnioho. So here the The stem final is not gunated, it's not dropped, but there's a nice sutra that says Iko yarn achi. And I think we might know enough. Iko means ikaha. So you want to take a crack at this sutra as far as what it expresses. It's all based on the Shiva Sutras. Iko.
Oh, is this the same Iko that's in Iko Gunavati?
Yes.
Okay.
What is an ik phoneme?
What is it? E U R O.
Exactly right. What is a yarn phoneme? That's a retroflex nasal.
So in the place of an ik, yarn achi. Okay, let me get my Shiva Sutra out.
Exactly. Good.
Let's see.
Just
Where am I?
Namaha.
Yarn. So we want
Ayuna. Rudraka. Evong. Ayauch. Hayavarat. Lan.
Ayavarata.
I figured out what yarn is.
Okay.
Next.
What are yarn phonemes?
There we go.
Ya, ra, ya, ra, wa, la. Yes, but I would really recommend keeping them in the proper order.
That's the order they're written.
It is not. Here.
Ayauch. Hayavarat. Lan. Nyamangananama. Uch. Hayavarat.
Hayavarat.
That's the same order, unless I.
Oh, okay. It is written wrong.
I just got rid of the space between it.
Oh, wait. Hayavarata. Okay.
The first three are from line 5, and the L is from line 6.
Okay, you're right. My mistake.
How did you think it was?
There is a mistake on screen. I was thinking of the alphabetical order instead.
Oh, they've switched the V and the R.
And then what is an uch phoneme?
Uch is, let's see. Yes.
Urn, rka, eonga, ouch.
Yep.
We have the term vowel for that. Achi is locative. It means before a vowel. Iko, ikaha, in place of iu, yarn will come. Yavarala. And that's what we have here. The os begins with a vowel, so that's achi. That domain condition is met. Ikaha. We have an ik. The e of agni, we know that that's in the set ik because ik is the first segment. It's named there. So that part is satisfied. And then yarn, that's what will take the place. That's a set of 4. There's another sutra that says choose the one that's closest in articulation. So we're not going to substitute E with a V sound, right? Y is the one that's similar. That's the replacement. So he doesn't necessarily specify which one in this sutra. That's taken care of elsewhere. So instead of the E of Agni, a Y, Agnioho. And then the Ni form Agnau, we need to note that the stem final E sound, what do we call it? What's his name for this process? 2-0. Think of the Spanish for wolf, maybe. Spanish and Latin word for wolf is kind of close sounding.
Lupo, lupus.
Lopaha.
Lupaha. Lopaha.
And so that one drops,
Hello.
and it's replaced by O, special replacement for ngi. Not agniao or agnayo, but agno. Then
No.
the O's form we know, agnioho, as above. Finally, locative plural. What's the basic one?
Basic one of what?
Locative plural.
Oh, vocative is not in my chart.
Locative plural.
Oh, locative.
Yeah.
Oh, that is in my chart.
Ngios.
Plural. Soup.
Ngios sup. The sup form is agnishu. What's happened there?
Agnishu. Agnishu. Maybe the S has changed.
Maybe it
Not
has. It
sure
definitely
why.
has. Yes. That's the one. In what way did you say?
It is retroflex.
It is, yeah.
When previously it had been gentle.
Exactly right. That happens when whenever the S is between vowels and the one preceding it is E or U. If it's a high vowel, there's the ruki rule. These four sounds will trigger a retroflexion when an S follows. Ruki. Alright, in Sanskrit, I want the declension of it. So, we now know all of Agni. We've learned it, I should say. Is it a bit dry to do another paradigm right away? What do you think? How are we even doing on time? We've been going 140. How you feeling? What are you in the mood for? Maybe we'll just look at
Yeah, I think doing another paradigm would be less than ideal, seeing how much trouble I had with this one. It's a lot of steps to keep track of, I think.
Okay, do it later.
Let's go back to Duolingo and do some fun sentences.
Sounds like a winner. What language do you feel like? Any objection to Korean?
No.
No hearty ones, at least. Polite MD. Mood?
학생은 학교에 안 살아요.
학교에 안 살아요. Take it away for us. 학생은 학교에 안 살아요. You might be muted, or...
No. Oh, you wanted me to translate? I saw
저의
you
집에
writing it
사세요.
already, so.
I see. Up to you. 저의 집에 사세요. 사세요. I think this is giving a request, right?
Yeah.
나는 그만큼 맛있는 파스타를 못 만들어요.
나는 그만큼 맛있는 파스타를 못 만들어요. Okay, I can't make 그만큼 that much delicious
그만큼
pasta that delicious.
맛있는 딸기를
we had a
사세요.
very lot of delicious pasta tonight.
That sounds excellent. 맛있는, there it is again. 딸기를 사세요. What? This is the difference. It's not salda, but it would be the same verb form here. Buy 딸기.
저의 집을 사세요.
저의 집을 사세요. Buy my house.
Wait,
저의
this
집을
word
사세요.
dal is strawberry.
What's that?
This word we saw, dal, was strawberry.
딸기, double T.
딸기. Okay. Isn't that what's the word for daughter then? Isn't that the same?
tal, single D, I believe.
Okay.
But let's check.
No, I think it definitely has the double.
Okay. It could be tal, but talgi, strawberry, is a two-syllable word.
Okay.
Oh, tal is the moon, and
So they have a syllable in common.
perhaps, if that is so. Daughter, you're right, a tense one, and the oldest form, late Old Korean potol. So Old Korean was still written with hanja, so pronunciation has to be reconstructed. Probably compound of an ancient for daughter, pot, and suffix ol. Compare jilin leishi atol. I don't know what this is. Apparently equivalent to ant ol. In the Hangul script, first attested in Yongbi or Chonga or Chonga, 1447 as stol. That's fascinating. That it would be st from an old p. Stol, it says.
Oh, it simply represents an irregular development. Or perhaps the expected cluster t
had
had already fully
yeah.
merged and was realized in speech as t.
Misanalyzed as sta. Either way, it would all come out as tal, but it's interesting that it took that side step to an st cluster, yeah. And with an O vowel, which is just the dot. Now, I don't know why that dot is hanging out in front. What's up with that? Here, this S-D-O-L is the spelling. This part can't quite get it right. And stul, I guess this is a tone mark. Maybe that's what the dot is. Yeah, that's right. The dot to the left is the tone mark. How cool.
The Middle Korean had tone.
At least some dialects did.
Oh, wow.
Taltari, never mind.
듀오링고를 저에게 파세요.
저에게 파세요. What's that one? 파세요. 파다, 팔다?
파세요.
아기의 책을 팔지 마세요.
아기의 책을, child's book, 파지 마세요. Don't sell it. Babies. 아기 for baby. Okay.
매운 고추를 고르지 마세요.
매운 고치를 고르지 마세요. 고르지 마세요. 매운
고추를.
고치를 고르지.
매운.
고르다
고르지.
is choose.
고르지.
Yeah, don't choose. Spicy pepper, spicy chili.
맛있는 고기를 고르세요.
고르세요. Choose it. Choose tasty 고기.
어려운 것을 하지 마세요.
어려운 것을 하지 마세요. Don't do difficult. Easy.
어려운.
This one's hard. Thins.
한국에 살지 마세요.
한국에 살지 마세요. 살지 마세요. Don't live in Korea.
맛있는 아침을 만드세요.
맛있는 아침을 tasty breakfast, tasty morning 만드세요. Do you see the change to the root in this one? The verb
만드세요. And it's 만들다, so the real has gone.
Exactly. We've lost touch
Where
with the
did it
real.
go?
Where did it go? To the great loop in the sky. Tasty breakfast.
Where
계란을
all
사지
the
마세요.
deleted sounds go.
Happy. Yeah, where's that? 계란을 사지 마세요. 사다 was buy. Don't buy eggs.
매운 것을 요리하세요.
매운 것을 요리하세요. The word order is interesting here. Cook, in English, cook something spicy. Couldn't say spicy something. But you can say sweet nothings.
맛있는 것을 고르세요.
Nothing sweet. Whisper nothing sweet into my ear. 맛있는 것을 고르세요. Choose a tasty thing.
집을 파세요.
Sell the house.
아기의 책을 팔지 마세요.
아기의 책을 팔지 마세요. Does the G sound tense?
아기의 책을 팔지 마세요.
G. It's not voiced. 책을 팔지 마세요. Don't sell the baby's book. Like it's gonna know. So.
अयुन रुद्रक एवोम अयौच हयवरट लन न्यमगणनम झभय घढधश जबगडदश ख फ छ ठ थ चटतव कपय शशसर हल इति माहेश्वराणि सूत्राणि अथ प्रथमोऽध्यायः प्रथमः पादः वृद्धिरादैच अदेङ्गुणः इको गुणवृद्धि न धातुलोप आर्धधातुके इति च दीधिवेवीटाम् हलोऽनन्तराः संयोगः मुखनासिका वचनोऽनुनासिकः तुल्यास्य प्रयत्नं सवर्णं नाज्झलौ ईदूदेद्विवचनं प्रगृह्यम् अदसोमात् शे निपात एकाजनाङ् ओत् सम्बुद्धौ शाकल्यस्येतावनार्षे उञः ऊ ईदूतौ च सप्तम्यर्थे दाधाघ्वदाप् आद्यन्तवदेकस्मिन् तरप्तमपौघः बहुगणवतुडति संख्या श्नान्ता षट् डति च तक्तवतु निष्ठा सर्वादीनि सर्वनामानि विभाषादिक्समासे बहुव्रीहौ न बहुव्रीहौ तृतीया समासे द्वन्द्वे च विभाषाजसि प्रथमचरमतयाल्पार्धकतिपयनेमाश्च पूर्वपरापरदक्षिणोत्तरापराधराणि व्यवस्थायामसंज्ञायाम् स्वमज्ञातिधनाख्यायाम् अन्तरम् बहिर्योगोपसंव्यानयोः स्वरादिनिपातमव्ययम् तद्धितश्चासर्वविभक्तिः कृन्मेजन्तः.
Let's see. Here we get to that's 46. 1146, the bottom of the screen. Adyanta or taketao. Those two augment its where they go, da and ka, and then the next one, mida cho and tiat paraha is a related one. We'll get to it eventually. Let's finish up with an Esperanto. Do an easy one.
Okay, I just had an idea
What's that?
for the German ones.
Okay.
If we put it markers on our forms,
Yeah.
like if we had der, die, das, die, den, da, then we could say der.
Okay, can you do that again? Der, die, das, die.
Den, and then da on the end of den.
Is it der, die, das, den, die? Okay, for the first four.
Yep, and then the
okay.
The whole first row. Now do that one, den, and then retroflex T.
Okay.
Yeah, that will allow us to specify. That way we don't have to say the first one and then the masculine and whatever, we can just say der,
First one. So
which would then refer to.
Can you rewrite the relevant sutras with this shorthand? Oh, det, you're saying, right? You could generate that. Have we said D-E-R-T like that?
D-E-R retroflex T, yeah.
Det. Maybe did it or something. Did it. Yeah, a little bit of glue would be.
Oh, it could be.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. But then what does that let you do?
Let's see. Where was this at? So we wanted to fuse in ersten männlich schwindeten, right? And then in Einzel ersten zweite.
I'm going to repaste the relevant bit in the chat. Zum Adjektiv nach Artikel enuk. Im ersten männlich schwindet n. So in der, we could say.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also the dative, genitive, feminine, and also plural ones that are der, and I wouldn't want to.
All the masculines leave it. There was one, maybe it was in our other one, but there was some where, yeah, our ones without the article perhaps. But there was one instance where those first 5 behaved as a set.
But this,
I think I recall.
But this siglum that you dictated doesn't embrace those 5. Oh, the first 5? No, I don't think because the plural has its own.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought those 5 behaved in a similar way somewhere.
Oh, well, let's zoom out and look at those paradigms again.
Okay.
Der Gute, die Gute, das Gute, die Guten. This one always has en. Den Guten, die Gute, das Gute, die Guten. That's the definite. Ein Guter, eine Gute, ein Gutes, keine Guten. Einen Guten. Yeah, the N is continued here. I don't think that really. But what we can do is reorder these 3 columns into a more suitable thing to allow that kind of abbreviation.
I like them in the order they are, but we could just say, let's see.
It might make sense to have female next to the plural because there's some overlap.
Oh, yes. But it would confuse me to know and see in this chart in a different order.
That's true. We want to avoid
that. That would also get really mixed up.
It would also make Reisenese meaningless.
Yeah.
Or we just have to reorder it and do the equivalent thing. That's a choice.
Okay, well, let me take a look at it. But I like the idea of putting it on the actual ones. That feels like how it works more in Sanskrit.
Much. Ĉu bestoj manĝas ĝin? Bestoj, beasts?
Bestoj.
Do animals eat ĝin, this?
Ĝin.
Animals eat. Bees, abeloj. Volas. Flugas. And I need to make it definite. Flugas. How delightful.
Birdoj, muŝoj kaj abeloj flugas.
What root is this flug word from?
It keeps the L, so it must be Germanic.
True. Yeah.
Or something. It also reminds me of fugere in Latin. I don't know the ending. Fugire, maybe.
Fugare.
But like as in tempus fugit, that one?
Oh, that one. Fugere.
I think fleas.
If it's fugit, that means it was fugere. Der Flug is the German noun from fliegen. So
the Flug, like the Flughafen.
That's the one. A Paninian grammar would have some sutras telling you to replace the stem vowel or represent that root in such a way that you could derive an u noun from it. Der Flug. Step away for just a second. Maybe I'll replay that chanting until I get back.
येनाक्षरसमाम्नायमधिगम्य महेश्वरात् कृत्स्नं व्याकरणं प्रोक्तं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः येन धौता गिरः पुंसां विमलैः शब्दवारिभिः तमश्चाज्ञानजं भिन्नं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः वाक्यकारं वररुचिं भाष्यकारं पतञ्जलिं पाणिनिं सूत्रकारं च प्रणतोऽस्मि मुनित्रयम्.
There we go. So, with this brought up. Birdoi mushoi kai abeloi flugas. Birdoi. Mushoi would be mice, I think. Looks kind of Slavic to me. Kai abeloi. So Latin, I think it's apis for bee. I wonder where abello. Fly. Flugas. Flies. Mush. Birds, flies, and bees. Mice don't fly, so do animals eat it? Chew. Bestoi. Do your besties eat it? Chew. Bestoi manjas gin.
Ĉu krokodiloj kaj aligatoroj estas danĝeraj?
Ĉu krokodiloj kaj aligatoroj estas danĝeraj? Are crocodiles and alligators dangerous? Danĝeraj. Birds, birdoi. Flugas. Do you remember very? You might need to unmute. Tre.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Am I muted?
Now I can, yeah.
It's like tre.
Tre. Rapide.
La malgranda alligatoro havas belan voston.
Belan voston.
Interesting they use the English word bird. That seems pretty unrelated to the other. It's like Vogel. It's not like, right, that's fowl. And what do you say in Spanish? Pasaro? Pasaro? I don't remember which syllable gets the stress.
Pájaro. Pájaro. Now, has a beautiful tail. Where does vosto come from?
Pájaro. Yeah.
From Russian
Vosto.
Zvost, chvost in Polish. For tail. Chvostu in Proto-Slavic. Oh, and you know where the syllable boundary was here? Here's the form. I'll highlight, or it's after this highlighted Slavic. Chvostu. It is after the O. All the syllables were open in this language. Stu.
Oh, wow.
From a dubious root, stu, and it's a pre-hyphenated root. Xo, to scrape, or kehu, to waver, flicker. Sometimes compared with Germanic quastus, tassel. Even the formerly incompatible. Bundle-shaped tail. Voston, a nice Slavic word. Abelo.
Ŝafidoj estas idoj de ŝafoj.
Ŝafidoj, is that something to do with sheep? Estas idoj. Okay, what's a ŝafo and what's an ido? Do you know either? This is a nice spelling out of a compound meaning. It's a tatpurusha. Even though I don't know what either nouns are, I can tell you the compound type from this paraphrase. And it just occurred to me that Esperanto might be a good meta language for Paninian sutra-based grammar. Idoi estas idoi.
It strikes me as particularly systematic,
Right.
and therefore potentially easy to describe.
Well, that too, but I'm thinking not as the object language, but as the language that the grammar is that the rules are encoded in to describe German. Whatever.
Oh, I see.
Suppose you could apply it to itself, but also free to use any language to describe any other. Idoi de Schafoi. So it's offspring. This reminds me of the oid, like a humanoid, anthropoid.
Oh, Ido means offspring. That's so hilarious. There is another conlang that's based kind of on Esperanto,
Called Ido.
which is called Ido.
That's right. So its lambs are offspring of sheep. Shafidoi.
And then collectively, all of the ones that are based on Esperanto are called Esperantitos.
Wow. So Esperantidoi.
I guess
Wow,
that would be the Esperanto
cool.
word for it.
A kitten is a cat's offspring. Is it? Do you know the word for cat? Kato? Katidoi.
Kato.
Estas idoi de katoi. Ido de kato. A kitten, singular. So
Ĉu la ĉevalo havas idojn?
Chevalo. Okay, la chevalo. Does the horse have offspring? Does a grammar have offspring? Grammatikido. Yes, the bluebird is trying to live. Yes, la blua birdo trying. Probas. And then it's going to be, what's to live? Vivi?
It's not salda, because it's Eurocentric, so it's what, vivir?
Infano estas ido de homo.
Or no?
A child is the offspring of a person. Does the horse have offspring? Chu la, what is it? Chevalo. Havas idon. Or chu la chevalo havas idoin, because offspring can have a plural sense too.
Hodiaŭ ni lernas la nomojn de bestoj.
Nomoin. So nomos in Greek is a rule, but I assume this is the noun word. Today, ni is we, lernas, we're learning. La nomoin, the names de bestoi, and that's a non-accusative object of preposition of animals. The chicken lives right. What are we saying for right? No word bank for this. Chune, yeah. So the chicken, do you know? La coco.
I don't know. Pollo. A pollo looking word.
Nope. Chune. La coco vivas. Chune? Chu? Okay. La coco vivas. Chu?
Mi vidas ŝian ĉevalon. Ĉu vi vidas ĝin?
Ĉu vi vidas ĝin? Mi vidas. I see. Ŝian is her. Object marked horse. Do you see it? You plural. The chicken is pretty. I like it. La coco estas bella. Mi ŝatas ŝin. Or mi ŝatas ĝin.
Mi vidas abelon en la floro.
be a really good language for a linguistics class. That was where I first encountered, learned how the language actually goes. Was linguistics class. There's no irregularity, essentially. Mi vidas abelon en la floro, an unaccusative object of a preposition here too. En. I see a bee in a flower. In the flower.
La belaj ĉevaloj havas malgrandajn vostojn.
Vostojn tails. The beautiful horses have small tails. The bees are flying. La abeloj flugas.
Birdoj, muŝoj kaj abeloj flugas.
Birds, flies, and bees, flies. Kind of a cool sentence. Birds, flies sounds ungrammatical, especially when you don't put the comma. A kitten is a cat's offspring. Catido estas ido de cato. So, anything else in German that you want to sutrify?
I guess at some point we'll need to find out, like the order of the verbs, right? So you've got the V2 and you've got all non-finite verbs just stacking up at the end there.
Finite verbs stacking up at the end. So if you have... Wait, can you give an example?
So like if I say, Ich hab geschlafen, the geschlafen is just at the end. It's not.
Well, in this intransitive one, it could be that, or it could be that it's directly after the verb. So.
Okay. Ich habe einen Film gesehen.
Much better. Yeah. There we see it is really at the end. Very good. Excellent example. So yeah, the inflected one, that's the one that the grammar, as far as placement, really cares about and is particular about. So, to my view, V1 exists, one meaning that is imperative or an implied if. Second, as in English, were I to go, I would enjoy myself. Means the same thing as if I went, if I were to go. V2 is for your declaratives. V final is for a nominalized sentence. So a dependent clause, and also an infinitive. Right? Nominalized.
Yeah.
Einen Film sehen. We wouldn't say sehen einen Film. That's even though it's not really a clause, it's an abstract, nominalized verb form. Still verb final. Wenn ich... There, as the complement of that complementizer, it's like the object of a preposition. So it's kind of a nouny form of a sentence. Wenn ich Hunger habe, esse ich. Wenn ich Hunger kriege... You know this verb kriegen? It's more of a spoken one than standard written German. Esse ich was.
Kriegen?
Yeah, wenn ich Hunger kriege, esse ich was.
I know the noun Kriege, like a war.
I don't think there's any connection. This means to get. In fact, many of the most frequently used verbs have spoken equivalents that are with a suppletive root. So they can often be quite coarse sounding. For sterben, to die. You could also use verrecken, but it's disrespectful. For essen, you could say mampfen. For schauen or sehen, you could say gucken. Have you heard? I think you've used gucken, right? Yeah, there's a big set of unofficial spoken German ones. And dialect ones too. So kleben, do you know this one?
Kleben. I don't know it.
To stick, like adhere, to stick to something.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I only learned Hochdeutsch in school, I'm
This
afraid.
is
I don't know any of this
This
cool
is
dialectical stuff.
this one is Hochdeutsch. Kleben is.
Okay.
There is no higher form for it. But the local dialect where we grew up, Swabian, Schwäbisch, they said they had a completely different root. It was, you never saw it written, but it was Beppen, like that.
Yep. Wow.
How did we get onto that? Okay, I was doing with this. Wenn ich Hunger kriege. So standard German would have bekomme. It just sounds like you're putting on airs if you use that on the street. Wenn ich Hunger bekomme. Or, I don't know, if you're not a native speaker, it's fine. But what you would hear more often in interaction would be kriege. Wenn ich Hunger kriege. So, esse ich was. The esse, although it looks like it's first after the comma, it's really second in the whole clause, the whole sentence, after that introductory clause. That's a unit. So it's a V2 that's a declarative. Within that
So
first
in this
part...
sentence...
Sorry? Go ahead.
In this sentence, the was means like something?
Exactly. Etwas would be standard High German, like the variety you learn in school, but more common. And so, to my mind, when people say, I'll tell you what, that has the same form and function.
Oh.
Meaning something, which is just like Chinese does with shem shay. They use it indefinitely too.
Okay, cool.
And within this first part, wenn ich Hunger kriege, this is a nominalized sentence. So your inflective verb is going to be at the end of it. And these are I think, the only two real possibilities. If we can find an exception, I'd be ecstatic. We also have verbless ones, of course. What would it mean if somebody yelled this? Mir nach.
Let's see. To me, after. Let's see.
What are they wanting you to do?
Mir nach. Mir nach. So maybe to wait and let them go first?
No, it means follow me.
Okay. Okay.
This is something German does regularly that English doesn't. If it's a verb of motion, you can drop the root and just keep a preposition in a verbal sense. I use it as a postposition here, actually. Wouldn't call it keep an adposition as an uninflected verb style thing. This is an imperative, even though there's no verb. It's kind of cool. So, some sutras for that.
Yeah.
I think if you just expressed what I put in those lines, V1 imperative, V2 declarative, V final nominalized. That's how I would express that.
Okay.
But there might be things that I'm just overlooking. There often are. What else could there be?
I guess you would need the rules for when things would go in those positions.
The rules such as?
Like, we have a declarative, and then, we're gonna... Or, how about separable prefix verbs?
Interrogatives is also there. What would you get there? There's two kinds. So this one needs some sorting out. You need to have some sutras about that. But would you say separable prefix? So, what's an example? Separable prefix verb, yeah.
Yeah, those also... Because you say, like, anrufen, but then
So,
if you use it in a sentence, like, ruft mir an, or whatever.
Mich. Ruft mich an.
Mich. Ruft mich an.
Okay, but how would that... Why would a separate sutra... What would the sutra need to say? Because it's a declarative one, and the inflected verb is in position 2.
But then, I guess when you past tense, you get angerufen.
That's not past. That would be the participle.
Oh, that's what I meant, yeah.
Angerufen. And the participle is a verbal...
Oh, angeruft is the...
Angerufen. So you do need a sutra to say when you get ge blank n versus ge glaubt. Sometimes it's a t at the end. In these circumfixes, you have two variants. And then you also have 0 t, where the ge is deleted.
No, it is past tense. Hat mich angerufen.
Angerufen is not a past tense form, it's a participle. It's part of a compound tense. Rief mich an would be past tense. So what does Sutra need to say about that? Angerufen, this form is not a verb. But what would you want to say about word order? It's a verbal adjective. So the rules of finite verb placement don't apply to it. Wrong domain.
Okay.
The hat would be the inflection word. There are, of course,
well then we
things
would
to
at least need
to
explain how they become not verbs and in fact the adjective things.
Right. So that's what kta does from the root bud, budta. For buhu, what does buhu mean?
Buhu.
Bahabadi.
Oh, to be.
Be and become, come into being, those guys. To grow, such. Participle form there is behuta. Be German gewesen.
Okay.
So what he just has sutras that say there's a class of affixes that is used to derive nominals from verb roots. And kta is one of those.
Okay.
Maybe there's more that he says. I've only studied about a quarter of the thing, actually less. A few hundred sutras was all I managed on my first attempt, my preparatory run. But since those aren't inflected verbs, they're not going to be in the domain of these other sutras. But then for the questions, it's like in English. If it's a yes-no, then it's also verb initial. So V1, we'd have to have a sutra saying that. V1 in a yes-no question. And it's question word initial, right? Wer hat mich da gesehen? And that's also V2. Wer hat mich gesehen? Wen habe ich gesehen? V2 in a content question, a pronominal question. Non-yes. What do you call that? If it's not a yes-no question, but the other type.
A WH question?
Yeah, good. Inhaltsfrage, I think I've heard in German grammar. WHQ.
Oh, that's cool.
Is like a declarative. So. All right, let's call it a night, shall we? Just midnight, and continue tomorrow if we're able. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.